So, from what I know, our tithe goes towards multiple missions our church supports, such as ADRA, school communities, or poor communities. To live in this world, money is sometimes a necessity. Tithe has an important role in allowing these different missions to come to fruition and allow God's vision to grow. It is one way Adventists all over the world can contribute to God's mission. Eva Ing will be discussing Lesson 8, the impact of tithing.
I don't often get out into the beauty of nature, especially to a lovely river such as this one. God has blessed us with a beautiful world. For example, look at this beautiful water. We're at the Nepean River, just west of Sydney. It supplies 5 million people as well as supplying agricultural production. But where does this water come from? The headwaters of the Nepean River rises near Robertson. The river flows north in an unpopulated water catchment area into Nepean Dam, which supplies potable water for Sydney. Ellen G. White uses this analogy to paint a picture of how tithing works. Like actual streams, the small streams of income that form into larger bodies bless each location that they pass through. And while it's the large bodies of water that attract attention, they would not exist without the small streams and brooks upstream. Through the ups and downs of my life, my tithing, or lack of it, has been an indicator of my spiritual health. When I was spiritually strong, my tithe giving was faithful and generous. When I felt adrift, my tithe giving suffered. My tithe giving gives me joy and a sense of satisfaction. First, I'm honoring and worshiping God because our giving is an important part of our worship. By returning tithe before anything else, I place God first in my life. Second, I'm playing a part in enlarging God's kingdom in a real and tangible way. My small contribution of tithe blesses not only my family and my local church, but others right around the world. Third, it is faith building. Regardless of my financial circumstances, whether starting out in life, raising children, or dealing with a mortgage, putting aside a tithe first is saying to God, I'm putting my life and my finances in your hands. I know that you will provide. And He has. Finally, it teaches me that it is always more blessed to give than to receive. Dependence on God is more freeing than dependence on myself. In Deuteronomy chapter 28, God tells Israel and is telling us today that if we pay attention to His commands, we will always be at the top, never at the bottom. He has promised to bless our families, our private affairs, our business affairs, and even our community. He will even smite the evil plots of our enemies. All this, God said, will be the result of obeying His commandments and living the way He has shown us to. And these promises can be ours still. But the impact of returning tithe is not just about me. There are real consequences to my choices. In my employment position, I know exactly what happens to tithe in our conference. And I know how, like this river, our tithe collects into a much larger useful body, the use of which is subject to policies of use and fiduciary oversight. In fact, every conference is audited against guidelines. But overall, as first principle, tithe is used to proclaim the gospel. In our conference, more than half of tithe goes to paying pastors and Bible worker salaries. 20% goes to the union, the division, and general conference in support of their major institutions like Avondale College and Pacific Adventist University. The next 15% covers education, conference-wide evangelism, and departmental ministries. The remainder 14% covers administration and compliance. So be assured, every tithe dollar is precious and every tithe dollar is carefully and prayerfully spent.